Good morning and welcome to another episode of Ek Mulakaat series with me, Smriti Bhanu. So today we are here with a really special personality, Professor Vijay Bhatkar, the architect of India's first ever supercomputer, the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhusan, Maharashtra Bhushan awardee. Sir has been former Chancellor of Nalanda University too and is currently designated as the chairperson of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. A very heartily welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So let's start with the interview.
Yes.
So my first question to you is, when Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi assigned you with the task of designing first ever supercomputer for India, you knew it wasn't going to be that easy. You even mentioned that designing that was a completely new task for you. So what was your major strategy that you worked upon in bringing the supercomputer Param 8000 to life?
Yeah, this is a question which you often asked to me for several years now. This one. See, designing a supercomputer when the technology is completely denied to you. You don't have any access of the technology. What you know really was what you read in journals, like you people read some new articles in journals. So that is the only literature available to you, information available to you. Of course, I was, as a research student, a researcher myself, and not only researcher but intensive researcher myself. Our task was not only to design, but also to create the whole institution. Institution means like young students like you are learning new technologies, new courses, so the entire thing from the scratch, from nowhere to something somewhere, in the sense that was the challenge. So I knew that it was not going to be difficult. It was not going to be a very difficult task. Information not available to you. The access also of the information is not with you. You may not have teachers for that. You may have some teachers. But I knew that it was a difficult task. It was a very challenging task. And that is the beauty of it. So the challenge was given in a very short time. In the first 3 years, start learning from the very beginning. The very beginnings in the sense that kind of thing. You don't know even the spellings of that field, the technology, you don't know anything like that. You don't have classes, you don't have introductions. So everything has to be created from the very beginning. And this was not the first time we were doing this. We had earlier done such tasks because I studied Dr. Homi Bhabha. Then the whole challenge came to us for that can we design our own nuclear bombs or nuclear reactors or nuclear technology. And that was the challenge during Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's time. So, and Bhabha also said that it is going to be a difficult task, though he had exposure for that. He had exposure for that because he studied in the US and also in the United Kingdom, and he had some different idea. He studied in Oxford, Cambridge. I didn't have that kind of access as well. So I know that it was a challenging task, but I knew that our students are also, or people, or researchers, also very creative. We'll come out with strategies as you ask. What is the strategy? How do you develop this one? So we have to evolve whole new strategy for that. Particularly, you are talking about supercomputers. Computer technology was new to us at that time. Computer was not, I think, the first computer which came about was Turing, Alan Turing's in the UK when it was a challenge in the Second World War. And without a supercomputer, without a very powerful computers, will not be able to solve the riddle, and Germany was way ahead of this whole thing. You know, the war, Second World War, which is the great war of the world. And they were trying to design a supercomputers of that generation. So we had that challenge, but we decided to take that challenge. Challenges are always interesting in life. Whenever you are challenged something, then you rise with all your abilities. You may fail. You know that you may fail also, this one, but you try again and again and again. And that's how we process began. We were aware that kind of thing. We did not know the spelling of it. At that time, software, those fields had not yet emerged. Son. But we decided to, nevertheless, we decided to take the challenge because before that, such challenges existed in the electronics industry. Electronics was just beginning to come, kind of like resistors, capacitors, so simple devices. Before that, the challenge was to really not only design the computers but also the televisions. We had black and white television. We had just the design of a black and white television, and then soon came the challenge of what Mrs. Gandhi told us. So when she said that I want to have a color television in India, and color television was not known. So we first our challenge that we took was designing the first ever color television in India, and then beginning with the broadcast. Not only just we are in the technology of say it's the broadcast technology or the technologies of that kind here. So first challenge was even to design a television network, television channel. And I think one of the biggest thing which we accomplished at that time was also designing a first ever color television in India, color television broadcast in India, that kind of thing. But that was successfully done. That was very successfully done. And Mrs. Gandhi was very happy. And when the first broadcast, I remember the day we started the first broadcast. You can go back to those days, suppose, and when the broadcast started, it was such a joy for the entire country, because they were first time seeing a color television broadcast, and we had designed it from the very scratch, including the tubes, including the broadcast technologies, including all the technologies which are required for that. And I had a young team like you people, and they were learning. And the day it really began, it was a great joy for the nation. We did not fail. We did fail. That means we did fail. So we had to make many trials. Most importantly, that the components were not available. It was not available to us, this one. So we had to design everything from the very beginning. Things and I remember we took a special permission from Mrs. Gandhi to undertake the broadcast, which was not allowed, son, because you require special permissions for that. But the day my son was just born, and when it began, it was such a joy for the whole nation. I felt so. That was the beginning. That was the beginning. Then the electronics began in the country, and we started making these technologies, various technologies for electronics. From there came the computers, and from there came the supercomputers. So it was a journey at different stages. This one, it was not a straightforward journey, because the components were not, we could not access, were not available to India. We could not import those computers. Something. So that's how the whole journey began.
Good to hear that, sir. So my next question to you is,
yes,
they say wisdom comes from lessons you've learned from your failures. So what were the failures you dealt with in your entire career span?
my career span is full of failures, and I found that the biggest I think the learning experiences for me were my failures. Not only my failures, the entire team's failures. Nothing. It's like a war. You don't know whether you will go, when you're going on the war, whether you will win the war. You have studied the histories of different wars which we fought, not only India fought, but and I would say that like in every great things, so I learned from my failures. It's not my failure; it's the whole team. We are working on it, and again trying this one. It's not working like this. You try this one. You try, and of course the histories were available to us. Because the history of great developments like a transistor, that was the biggest event in human life. Even the transistor was invented at Bell Labs. Transistor was that whole small pieces you see in the radios earlier. This one. So first when the transistor was invented at Bell Labs, that is considered as one of the greatest inventions of at that time. This one. So we also invented transistors. It was not first time we invented transistors. We saw that invention. We saw how they developed it. We also tried to whatever means we have, because the technologies were not available to us just like that. You have to begin from the very beginning. So you are right, and for every student, I think if you are going on the path of discovery, path of invention, you must be prepared. Like path of any war kind of thing, you must be prepared for failures, and you learn so much from the failure. That's why I say that failure was the biggest stepping stones for our inventions or our whatever we discovered at the time.
Exactly. Failure is your best teacher. My next question to you is, sir, you have a dream of seeing India as a #1 nation by 2047, when it celebrates its century of independence.
Yes.
Sir, how do you see things going in that direction?
A good question, I think, is the thing. I've been talking about it ever since I embarked on this task, and I felt that the path is going to be very difficult, very challenging, not only for us, for every country it has been challenging in their own right. We have seen several wars, World War II, which several countries of the world were involved in this one. And wars are always lost or won. They are lost or won. It is not just one. You will embark on one kind of challenge, you may lose, again begin from a different strategy, again begin from a different strategy, this kind of thing. In the process of your trials and errors and many failures, you come out with some new discoveries. And that was the path, that was the way I think we embarked on it. Before that, Bhabha had initiated a task, Dr. Bhabha, Homi Bhabha, who talked about the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in those days, kind of things, just after independence. And there also we went through several trials, but ultimately we succeeded. We had the first reactor, and then that led to the bomb, that led to India's capability in the atomic energy, and then began the process of a space program like with Vikram Sarabhai, and we started beginning like the Diwali crackers, the rockets, sending rockets. You must have seen those movies, kind of things, the rocket boys, how Bhabha and Vikram Sarabhai later on really succeeded in our space missions. So this has been several challenges like this, and as you know, ultimately we succeeded in all these things. In some of the programs we succeeded, in particularly in space program, if you look at it, the Chandrayaan you are looking at, you are talking about now, Mangalyaan you are looking up now, so many other missions which we have got, series of missions, and so it is in this the past successes, the past challenges which we have successfully undertaken, then you get confidence, then you can go for the next level and next level and next level like that. So space or the supercomputer challenge also was like that kind of thing. You build small computers, you build next generation computers, and one day we took the task of building a supercomputer. What is a supercomputer? Supercomputer is the most powerful computer of that time. So the definition is always changing, in the sense that today this is a supercomputer, and tomorrow the next is the challenge, and next is the challenge. So one day, so the definition of supercomputer is the most powerful computer of that time. That is a supercomputer. It is not a fixed definition kind of things. So today we are building one of the world's most powerful supercomputers in the world context.
So my next question to you is, in current time, the new education policy has been introduced in 2020. So according to you, the institutes like IITs and NITs can enhance the quality education system. How can they enhance the quality of education they're providing?
Yeah, education is a continuous journey. Education is not something was there, it's one learning newer and newer things, undertaking what is it called, the quest of knowledge, new knowledge. Knowledge has been continuously been enhancing, knowing, Today I know this much, for example, this thing. Once I know that, I will embark on further journey, further quest of learning. And that journey is endless, continuously. So one thing that you must have your knowledge at the current level, the world level kind of things. And there are many people who have attempted that. Then you learn from them, and then you discover some new things, and then you teach other the next generations, and the next generation like that. This process is also endless. From the Vedic times, India is a long journey. I think from the Vedic times, so Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 years old. I think that is one of the most profound knowledge I think India has given to the world. And so like that, there were many quests of this kind, which we successfully conquered. This one.
Okay, all right. So my ending it up here. So my last question is for you. What would be your best piece of advice for today's youth, today's generation?
See, today we are living in wonderful times. I have seen India's history. When I was born, I was born in a small village, very small village with a population 300 at that time. Today, India is about 6.5 lakh villages. I was born in one of those villages. There were no schools. Once Swami Vivekananda, I remember, as was traversing across India, he languished and he said that there are no schools here at that time. Very few schools, particularly girls had a lot of trouble swimming across rivers and reaching the schools. So he had lamented, if my boys and girls or girls and boys cannot go to schools, how will India get educated? There are no schools, there are no school buildings, very few teachers, no laboratories. So he lamented, but he said, but one day India will rise, teach the world. So that was the confidence he uttered, and those words, when I read those words were of great inspiration for me. Because he said that if India doesn't have schools, but it doesn't have, then the schools must be brought to the doorsteps of every home. That's why I started a new mission called Education to Home. That kind of thing, if there is no school, bring the school to every doorstep. So those challenges, and they were done for the first time in India. Bring the whole school to your home itself, to your doorstep itself. And that was we accomplished. And today you can see everywhere there are schools. How many schools are there in India now? There are lakhs and lakhs of schools everywhere. We didn't have a single school, sometimes very few schools. Gurukuls were there. So today there are 14 lakh schools in India. Schools, I'm not talking about, and then colleges, and then universities. Today we have one of the world's largest number of universities, like this university I'm sitting here in this. How many universities are there? 1,000 universities are there. Close to 1,000 universities we made possible. New education policy, what you are talking about, was defined in these times. That India will have one of the largest number of universities in the world. And another dream was that one day will come when people, students from our India, the vast India, having population of so many lakhs of so many crores people. See, we are one of the largest populated country in the world now, 140 crore people in the country. All are studying in different schools and colleges and universities. We have 40,000 colleges, 1,000 universities. We have larger universities, and we are also now today inviting students from all over the world to study. Not far back, the students thousands of years back, like I'm referring to universities like Takshashila, which was the first university of the world. Then came Nalanda, where I am the chancellor now. This kind of thing. I came from a small school, but today, and here, the students from many countries of the world used to come for learning. Tomorrow, I am very sure that very, very soon, students from all over the world will come to India including this university and universities in this city. People will come from all over the world, and you see some students here. So that dream will be fulfilled. So I'm looking forward to that, and you will make that possible. Like for example, this school of journalism, which was not there earlier. You people now studying these new technologies, and of course now you have got that whole computer sitting in your pocket called
Smartphone.
that computer is, and that has such a wonderful capabilities. The whole broadcast technology, or what this journal, what do you call it? School of Journalism with all its technologies are being developed here itself. So that is what the whole history is.
Exactly. So this was Dr. Vijay Bhatkar. Thank you for joining in today, sir. We really appreciate your shared insights. So this was it for today's episode of Ek Mulakaat series. Thank you. Stay tuned.
Thank you.